It's the most wonderful time of the year, college football bowl season, baby. And there are 42 bowl and playoff games to keep us entertained for almost 3.5 weeks. Starting with Toledo versus Middle Tennessee State and going through the national championship on Monday, January 10th, pick your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper and get every college football bowl game they release, including any 5% best bets normally priced at $35 for the low price of $149. As an added bonus, make sure to download the free WagerTalk College Football Bowl Guide by going to wt.buzz/rm. From everyone at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, good luck this college football bowl season.
Happy Friday, guys. Welcome back right here to WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew McInnis. We have puck time, and it is the last episode of the week. Just Carmine and I for today. 4 games to break down, best bets at the end, and lots of promos to go over for the weekend. Lots of action this weekend, Carm, including the NHL, but UFC, I got some CFL, college football, all that good stuff. Super excited, man, and also excited for our dinner on Saturday. One more sleep, and I am out of Halifax, and I'll tell you, I woke up today, and for all of us, the Canadian viewers out there, it was minus 13, Carm, outside. So I'm excited to leave, man.
Yeah, I don't, Andrew, honestly, I don't blame you. I think you should have started with you're excited to come to Toronto and have dinner with us, but I get it that the Prez is going to be there, so maybe that's why you left it to last. But you're going to love it here, Andrew. There's buildings here. Like everything is like more than 3 stories high. I'm not sure at Halifax. I haven't seen anything but like fields and grass and whatever. You guys have buildings there in Halifax, or how is it?
Not you too, Carm. Leave that stuff to Prez. Leave that Ontario stuff to Prez.
I think it's our fantastic Detroit office, Missy, who says you live in Narnia. But other than that, listen, you're going to love it here. It is a little chilly, but you're going to get phenomenal weather on the weekend, I think. So you're going to get some great Grey Cup weather, and then from there you're going to Vegas, so you're going to love it even more. You're leaving me out to dry next week. I'll bring in a whole bunch of different guests, and at puck time we'll have a different feel next week.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in, or I'll be trying to check in when I can with you, but I'll definitely be trying to have some fun, check out some different sports books. Only my second time in Vegas, so really looking forward to heading there. Today's games we're going over, we got the Penguins, Capitals, Jets, Canucks, Predators, Devils, and last but certainly not least, the Flyers and the Golden Knights. Carm, our first game today is a rivalry that's just been around for, as long as I can remember being a hockey fan. And a lot of it has to do with, of course, Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin. It's the Capitals. It is the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Capitals are at home in this game. First of all, we've got a minus 145 favorites here for the Capitals. Pittsburgh plus 125. I've preached to you that I thought both these teams were going to do well this year. I actually just locked in last night Pittsburgh 12-1 to win the East and 24-1 to win the Stanley Cup. Pure value situation here for them if they can stay healthy. Speaking of health, though, Jake Gensel has a hat trick, and then all of a sudden he goes down with an injury. Certain teams, they just deal with injuries, and right now this Pittsburgh team, all season long, it seems like they've been dealing with it, but they're back to kind of the injury bug. What are your thoughts here? A huge game, rivalry game here tonight, Capitals and Pens.
Yeah, Andrew, like if you guys remember back when Pittsburgh went on that road trip and they were in Alberta, I said that once they leave Alberta, they have a favorable schedule in this month. And they kicked it off with wins in Vancouver and Seattle, obviously going home to play Washington or heading back to the East Coast to play Washington isn't a favorable part of the schedule. But every game after that is a very winnable game for this team, even with that injury to Gensel. This is one of those games, Andrew, where I like the dog here. I think they're live here. I always talk about a team coming back from a West Coast trip. Well, their trip isn't over yet, but they've had 3 days off in between games. Their last game was on the 6th. That game in Seattle, they travel back now. Carolina did the exact same thing. If you remember, Carolina came back from a 4-game road trip, went to Philadelphia, and beat the Flyers before returning home. They capped off a 5-game road trip, which is what Pittsburgh is looking to do here as well, too. Beating Philadelphia is a lot easier than beating Washington in Washington. But a little bit of a revenge factor here as well, too. The Penguins were in a bad scheduling spot the last time they went to Washington, and Washington absolutely destroyed them 6-1 in that game. So I'm pretty sure that's in the back of their minds. And then you have a Washington team that, I agree, they're playing well, but their last 4 or 5 games, they've shown a little kink in the armor of allowing some goals. So in splitting those games, that game against Florida where they blew that lead, and then the game to the game to Chicago at home where they lost it in OT. So this Pittsburgh team that is winning has some confidence, and returning back to the East Coast off a decent West Coast trip, they'll look to get a win tonight. I'm going to play them at plus 125, plus 130. I'll take them. They're a live dog. Like I said, 6-1-1 their last 8 road games. You want to take a team who's a live dog if they're a good road team. If they're a bad road team, you just stay right off of them. But they've proven they can win on the road. So give me the Penguins tonight at plus money, plus 125, plus 130.
Let's do it, Carm. I'm right there with you on this play. I like the dog spot here. And one thing I like about it, and one reason I've been liking Pittsburgh recently, is that it's just consistent defense with them, Carm. When they win, they don't have to score a bunch of goals. They've allowed 17 goals over their last 10 games. And a lot of that is just inflated due to one game where they allowed 6 against my Montreal Canadiens. Besides that, they have a handful of shutouts, a handful of games they allowed just 1 goal. And like you mentioned, this Washington team right now, we know how great they are. We know they have several contributors on their team. But I don't like their third period play. I don't like you said, Carm, they've been letting teams creep up. They've been letting teams kind of, battle back. If they're up 4-2, we're seeing lots of games end 4-3. If they're up, 3-1, we're seeing games end 3-2. It's not really a habit you want in a team you're looking to back, especially at a price like this, rivalry game, revenge factor, like you said. So, and the travel spot, I'm with you. I don't expect it to be too much of a factor. So I'm with Carm. I like the Penguins here at the plus price. They're playing great hockey, great defensive hockey, and one of the many reasons I want to back them tonight. So give me the Penguins at a good plus price here tonight. Winnipeg Jets and the Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver, they're minus 135 tonight. Winnipeg, they're plus 115. Total is at 6 here. Brock Besser, he's scored in back-to-back games now, Carm, since Bruce Boudreau has taken over. This team, maybe they look a little bit different. Maybe they're a different team. It was 2 different types of games for the Canucks so far. It was a shootout in one, and then kind of a higher scoring game in the previous since Bruce Boudreau took over. But the Canucks, it seems like it's been a morale boost. I mentioned it's kind of a typical thing you look for, especially in hockey, when a new coach takes over. And then the Winnipeg Jets, Blake Wheeler, how many goals he has, Carm? 0. He has none. Guys like Scheifele, Ehlers, they've been contributing, though, and starting to step things up. The Winnipeg Jets, so-so season, at least in my eyes. This should be a good battle here, Carm. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think you pretty much said it. I like the coaching change, Andrew. The Canucks have won 4 or 5. Jets have won 3 or 4, but clearly only one of these teams, I think, is a bye team. And the Prez even alluded to it on Thursday's show. I think the Canucks are a bye team. They're playing well. I just don't trust this Winnipeg team. You look at the games they won against the Kraken, against the Devils, and they caught the Leafs with their backup goalie in net Wall, or their e-bug goalie, really, because Campbell had the night off. You have Mrazek, who's injured, and they lit up Wall in that game 6-3. So let's see how they do tonight against a Canucks team that's playing some very good defense. That game against the Bruins, they played extremely well in that game, and the fact that the Bruins then go to Edmonton and beat the Oilers tell you that that they beat a very good Bruins team who was on a roll. So, with that said, there's only one way I can go here. It's take the Canucks, and that's it. I'm not going to dazzle you with some stats here. I just think the Canucks are a bye team. They're playing well. the coaching change, I think, was a good one for them, and they're starting to roll now. So let's see if they can string a bunch of wins together.
And there is some credit to give to the Winnipeg Jets. You look back to that game against Toronto, Carm, 6-3 win for the Jets there. Like you mentioned, though, they did play against the Kraken. They shut them out 3-0. That was last night, of course, and they looked pretty good in that game. But, it against a team that might have some momentum, might be kind of quote for quote, have their swagger back a little bit. Maybe they won't be able to trade goals with them. Maybe the back-to-back will affect them, because I got to ask you this. And I talk about this so much. And a lot of the time, what I've been looking for a lot this year is betting against a team that's not very good on a back-to-back. I'm not saying Winnipeg's not very good, but I believe that the back-to-backs are starting to mean a little bit more. Anybody that was handicapping and talking about back-to-backs in September, I don't really agree with that. But would you agree here, quarter of the way through December, it's starting to take a little bit of a more factor being on a back-to-back for teams?
Yeah, it is. And, I spoke about whenever I give out those back-to-back stats, and I didn't do them for today's show. But with that said, once you hit sort of that 30, 40, 50 game mark, and you start to see the backup goalies in that second game, I fade those teams. I like fading those teams for the most part. I think it's a profitable angle. And you've got I'm pretty sure it's Comrie in net tonight. I think I saw this morning that he was confirmed as the starter in net. If I'm the Canucks, and sure, this could come back to bite me in the ass by saying this, but if I'm the Canucks, I'd rather face Comrie than I would Hellenbuck. Why wouldn't I? He's the better goalie, obviously. And he's the star goalie in Winnipeg. So, but I just think that they've allowed a goal over their last couple of games, the Kings and the Bruins. It's a new commitment to defense, and who knows? I'm not sure what Boudreau has done there, but there's immediate returns in their first couple of games. Let's see how it goes tonight. But I have to believe that the only play here is Vancouver.
All right, Kyron, for this game, if you have plans, cancel them. If anybody out there watching this game, if you have Friday night plans, you plan on watching any other sport, cancel it. Game of the night tonight. No, I'm just joking. But we're going to talk about it and try and find some betting angles. Nashville Predators and the New Jersey Devils, Carm. Devils are minus 115 here. We have a Nashville team. Hey, they've won 3 straight, but it was against the Islanders, the Red Wings, and the Montreal Canadiens. Look at this Devils team. They have not looked good recently. Besides that one win where they shut out Philadelphia 3-0, they lost to Ottawa. They lost to Winnipeg, Minnesota, San Jose. It hasn't really been a great going for them either. So when I start off by saying this is the game of the night, it really isn't. And Nashville, you talk about it, I talk about it. They've probably defeated the teams they should beat. How much do we take that into account? The Islanders are struggling still. They put up a fight against them last night. Again, this is a second half of a back-to-back. Fridays, we usually see a lot of that. What do you think about this game, Carm? Because I'll be honest, I'm looking towards the Devils side here.
Yeah, I think the only chance this game has of being on my one of my TVs tonight is if all the other channels aren't functioning properly. There's no way I'm watching this game. But I will say this: even though the Devils, their only wins over the last 8 games have been against the Philadelphia Flyers, 2 wins against the Flyers. Yeah, they're a live dog tonight. I'm not touching this game. It's essentially a coin flip. But I will say this, is that this game falls into a category much like the New Jersey Flyers game where I like the under and everyone thought I was on some kind of medication. I like the under here again. I think 6 is too high for this number. I think we see a commitment to defense by this Devils team. And they showed against the Flyers, and I get it. It's the Flyers. They've lost 10 straight games. But that was a good defensive performance by them. And you have a Preds team coming in, and we talked about this yesterday, where I said they're not as good on the road as they are at home. And Preds retorted with, "Yes, they're 6-5-1, and you've made money on the Preds." Well, actually not, because the games that they won, they were favorites. The games that they lost, you're basically, if you looked at the money on the Preds, you're pretty much even betting the Preds on the road. With that said, I like the under here, Andrew. I'm not going to get into it more than that. I think the under is the player. 6 goals is way too much in this game. If you like the Devils, then good luck to you, my friend. But I'll hope for a low-scoring game that I am not going to watch.
So the Predators have won 5 straight against the Devils. They've also done well on the road. Carmine and I both refuse to even acknowledge this game exists tonight. But looking at some of the numbers here for these two teams, goals for, goals against, and that kind of stuff, I will say New Jersey plays a better defensive game, but the problem with them is that when they get shelled, they really get shelled, giving up 8 goals to Winnipeg and then 5 goals back-to-back against San Jose and Minnesota. But then prior to that, it's 2-2, 1-1, 1-2. So when they're on their game, I get it. I see where you're coming from with that under, Carm. I don't really think that's even really a huge contrarian play.
No, it's not. Unlike the New Jersey Philadelphia game, which was I said it 2 or 3 times on the show. It's a contrarian play, and I'm going to take it. I made it the show best bet. I just thought it was going to stay under. I feel the same way. The Devils are not going to shell Nashville tonight unless Nashville doesn't show up. It's a game where Nashville is supposed to go to New Jersey and grind out a win. They are the better team between the two. So they should beat them. But I just think we see another good defensive effort by the Devils, and which makes this game a coin flip. And I think the books agree. This is why the line is where it is right now. If the Devils were a bad team at home, Nashville would probably be about -130, -140. It's a coin flip. Look at it. It's -105 and -115. And that'll probably be -110 both ways by the time we get to game time tonight. So they're expecting a close game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a low scoring one. Much like you said, Andrew, when they lose, they get shelled by some teams. I just don't think this is one of the games where they get shelled. They could eke out the win, but I'm staying under 6. I think it's the only play in this game.
Yeah, I like that too. I do have a small lean towards the Devils, but one thing I kind of have a problem with, and we got to move on to our next game because you and I don't really have much on it, but I'm kind of just continuing this discussion. But you mentioned that they've only really beaten the Philadelphia Flyers. That is the Nashville Predators, right? But we always talk about trying to jump on a team at the beginning of a streak. I don't think this is the spot for them to start a streak here. I think the Devils, they're not the biggest team that I'm trying to bet on all the time by any means, but they're a team I want to play on at home, especially not on the road. They're a team that plays better at home. Their goaltending's actually been pretty good recently, besides, like I said, 1 or 2 hiccups. So I don't know. I look at who they've played recently, the Nashville Predators, and the games I'm going to roast my own team right now, Carm. Who lets the Montreal Canadiens score 4 goals on them? How many teams in the league are doing that right now? None. Nobody's allowing the Montreal Canadiens to score 4 goals. All right? And you look at this team and be able to say that in their last 10 games, they have 3 wins. One of them is actually against Tampa Bay, but the 2 other ones are against, Philadelphia. Not too impressive. So Carm likes the under. I got a small lean here on the Devils. We'll move on and kind of leave the game of the night in the dust because we don't really like this game too much. But let's get to our last game, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Vegas Golden Knights, -250. Total is at 6. And ever since this team got healthy, Carm, we're seeing some hefty prices on the Vegas Golden Knights. Now they're obviously playing the Flyers, a team that we've continuously ripped on this show. And I don't think it gets too much better when we talk about them here today, does it?
No, it really doesn't. We've gone from one bad game to another game that really, if you can find a reason to bet the Philadelphia Flyers tonight, God bless you. I can't. They've lost 10 straight games, Andrew. 8 of those games have been by multiple goals. So they haven't even been close. I think their closest games were a 2-1 game against the Florida Panthers. And where was the other game? Against Tampa. So, yes, against good teams, but they're getting 7 goals allowed against Colorado, 7 goals allowed against Tampa Bay. The Devils shut them out 3-0, 6 allowed against Carolina. They're playing good teams. And that was one of the things I discussed when I took that under in the game, is they were playing good teams, but they're playing another good team. This Vegas team is going to be a scary good team as we get closer to the playoffs. Once they actually get Jack Eichel on the ice, and they get another key component to that attack. They're a very good team. How can you go anything other than the puck line here? Vegas minus 1.5 plus. I think it's at even money now, but it was plus 105 earlier in the morning. I can't go any other way. It's likely going to be Carter Hart and Lehner tonight, the two number one goalies. I don't know, Andrew. Can you go anything other than Vegas in this spot?
I can't. And I might just take the safe route, Carm, and go with the team total, but it's at like minus 130, 135 at over 3.5. But it would just be one of those things where I just take one team out of the picture, right? Don't worry about what the Philadelphia Flyers do. Worry about what this Vegas Golden Knights offense does, because like you just listed off, the Flyers are giving up goals. But with team totals, I usually like to get the minus 110. Most of the reason why I like playing team totals is because you get better prices. But when you look at the puck line in this game in particular, if you think they're going to get to 4 goals, they potentially are going to cover that puck line anyway. But do you have any disagreement with that team total?
No, I don't. I agree with you there. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm not sure who at WagerTalk uses this phrase, "Don't try and catch the falling knife." This is can't get on Steve Merrill. That's why you can't get on a team with a losing streak like this. I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before, where the Sabres at one point, I think, didn't they lose like 16, 17 or 18 games in a row?
Yeah.
And people kept thinking, well, this is probably an easy spot for them, and I think that's what they thought with the Devils game. They can finally get off that snide. They just listen. The coaching change didn't help this team. I don't care. The Boudreau one has helped. They took, I think it was the assistant coach. I can't even pronounce his name. It's too many vowels and it's only 3 letters long.
Mike Yeo,
whatever. Yo, there you go. But it's like taking one light bulb that doesn't work and putting in another one that was already burnt out. It's not working for them. Bring in someone outside the organization who hasn't been polluted by what is going on in Philadelphia. Bring someone new in, some fresh blood, and see if you can stir this team up. Right now, they're lifeless. And at some point, they're probably going to have to start selling off assets, because this isn't a team that's going to make the playoffs. I'm sorry. This is a team that's going to finish in that 10th or 11th spot right now in a very competitive Eastern Conference. Find me 10 teams that can easily finish ahead of them, Andrew, and I know you can. You can rattle off 10 teams easily that'll finish ahead of the Flyers. This is a bad team right now. They would have to play lights out in Vegas, throwing in an absolute stinker for the Flyers to win tonight. That's the only way this happens, is if the Golden Knights throw in a stinker tonight. And by all indications, the way they've looked their last 3-4 games, I don't see that happening.
And that's kind of one of the reasons why I was looking towards the team total, was just so I wouldn't have to worry about what the Flyers do. The Flyers get 2-3 goals, something like that. All I need is the 4 goals from the Knights and not have to worry about that winning margin for them. But it's a good point you mentioned about, the rebuild. I wouldn't really call it a tank, but when you start, quote for quote, selling assets, like you said, and when you do that, then you start wondering which assets those are. Claude Giroux does not seem happy right now. Obviously, he's been the leader on this team for so many years. But they have not gone in the right direction. And with a great franchise like Philadelphia, you don't like to go and do a rebuild. It's just not something you want to do. But the point you made is a point I've been mentioning as well. With Mike Yeo taking over, it's not the same as bringing in a new face to the locker room. It's not the same as bringing in a new voice, because it's pretty much just like, hey, the guy that was calling the shots is gone, but his wingman is gone. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really make much sense as far as the morale goes, because it's still somebody that was a part of the organization behind the bench as the bench boss. And clearly, Carmine, I don't think too much will change. I think the biggest thing, and I'm sure you would agree, is not even their scoring. It's just untimely turnovers. It's just turning the puck over in the neutral zone and not taking care of the puck. And that's the biggest thing. I've talked about this Philadelphia Flyers team. They have a strong top 6. Yesterday on the show, I read those stats. It was 62 goals for the top 6 for Oilers and 12 goals for their bottom 6. It's very similar for Philadelphia, but it's just the difference is their defense and their goaltending hasn't really been there for them the whole season so far. And when they have been there, they've been successful.
And that's the thing is, the Flyers of, a couple of years ago had Carter Hart, who was absolutely phenomenal at home. At one point, it was kind of like Vasilevsky last season, where Carter Hart, I think, was at one point, he was like 33-12 or something like that on home ice. That's gone. He's losing at home. He's losing on the road. He's not stealing games for him. And then you wonder, is that a problem with Carter Hart, or is it a problem with the Flyers? Well, it's a team in front of you. When there's no D in front of you, you just don't. You're not going to stop every puck. It's just the way it is. What's the difference right now in Chicago between the beginning of the season and now with Marc-Andre Fleury? They lit him up at the beginning of the season. The Chicago now, commitment to defense. Look at their last. They're a good under team right now. You look at last night. We talked about it on the show yesterday. Marc-Andre Fleury going back to Montreal, his family in the arena to try and lock up win number 500. He did it with a shutout to boot on top of that. So if a team is committed to playing defense in front of you, you will the goalies will shine. This is the problem right now is with Carter Hart. And then you bounce around the other goalies. You got Marty Jones, who, as Matt Joseph calls him, it's a free W for the team playing against Marty Jones. So it's a tough thing in Philadelphia because you got, like what you talked about, Giroux. He talked about he doesn't want to talk about his contract right now. He wants to focus on what's going on in the ice. That, to me, sounds like a guy who's ready to leave and wants to put in a few seasons with a cup contender, because this is not a cup contender in Philadelphia and won't be for many, many, many years. So, with that said, I think it just gets worse throughout. They're a sell team.
They've had some great years, though. They've had some great years saying that. I remember all through my childhood, really growing up, they were a great team, a playoff team, a team that was in the mix. So it's not like they haven't been good for a long time. This is almost kind of new, right?
Yeah, it's something you're not accustomed to watching if you've watched hockey for many, like you said, many, many, many years. And I go back farther than you, Andrew, to Broad Street Bullies, you know what I mean? And guys like, even like guys like Kenny the Rat Linsman that just got under your skin. They had guys who agitated you. You had Ron Hextall, who would chop you down with that stick if you got near the crease. I loved watching the Flyers back then. This is a shell of their former selves. It's so bad in Philadelphia right now. With this organization, they got to bring someone new in, and these are two names I'm going to throw out there that won't come, just because there's too much going on behind it. But I would love to see Tortorella there. He's the human highlight clip when he talks to the media. And then Mike Babcock, you know what I mean? Fantastic run in Detroit, went to Toronto. They ran him out of town. The players did because they didn't love his style of coaching. But he's one of those, tough coaches that comes in and can straighten a team out, I believe. So with that said, I don't think that happens either, but Philadelphia needs a change.
They do. Tortorella, you're right. Human highlight clip. The stuff that happened with Babcock, though, it was very strange. The stuff we found out about him. I'm not sure if you're aware, Carm. He made all his players have a list, write down on a piece of paper all the players that they thought weren't playing well, or the worst players in the team. There's a lot of weird stuff that Mike Babcock was doing before he got let go. But I'm excited. I actually might be able to interview Mike Babcock in a few months. He's coaching a university in Canada hockey team, and they're coming to Halifax. So I'm gonna try and squeak in a little bit of an interview and get some good quotes out of him. I'm sure I can get some funny stuff from him. But then let's jump into some best bets. Before we do that, though, it's going to be an exciting weekend. A lot of sports, a lot of action going on. I'm sure you and I will be sweating out whatever action we have going on at dinner on Saturday night. There's also a huge UFC card, and I'm posting a 5% play for that card. Full transparency, Carm. It's been a great 2021 as far as the UFC goes, number one in the 5%. But last week I did miss and get a loser, so 0-1 last weekend, trying to bounce back in the UFC. But what do you have up this weekend, Carm, at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, so before we get into the best bet segment, I'll let you know what is up. We still have to do the 6 in 60 segment. So I'm just reminding you of that, Andrew. But 3 plays up in NHL for tonight, and 3 up in soccer tomorrow. We need to kickstart that soccer because I was really unhappy with the last 3 days or so. If you're a client, you either got some extra plays or I took care of you in the back end, check your accounts. But with that said, I'm looking forward to a huge weekend this weekend, both in NHL soccer and NFL football. So you can get a 7-day all access package with a coupon code. I'll tweet it out. It's UEFA, as in the Soccer Federation. UEFA 50, that'll get you $50 off a 7-day all access package. So instead of $119, you'll get it for $69. We're going to do the 6 in 60, Andrew, and then the best bets, I guess, if that's cool. 3 and 3 with the 6 in 60 last week. Let's try and get a winning one because we lost a little bit of juice on that one. So let's give it a go. 6 in 60. All right, we're to kick it off. Matinee game tomorrow. Tampa Bay -1.5, even money. Lightning looking to close out this road trip, going a perfect 5-0. They're in Ottawa. I see them winning by multiple goals. Speaking of multiple goals, Toronto -1.5, even money Saturday night. Last time Chicago came, they put a beating on the Leafs, 6-2. Leafs have dropped 3 of 4, but that loss against Tampa, that was a good performance by them. Look for them to rebound here against Chicago. The Islanders, yes, guys, I'm sorry. The Islanders -150. They catch the Devils on the second half of a back-to-back. 0-7 at home at the new arena. They've got to get a win. I think it's Saturday night. Canes +110 in Edmonton. I am fading the Oilers again. I faded them last night. They're going to head on a road trip, and they've got a favorable one, but I think they lose to the Canes, +110 on the Canes. Montreal, St. Louis, over 6 in this game. Blues, 6-2-2 to the total. Their last 10. And then Dallas and San Jose, under 5.5. Stars on an 8-1 under run. There you go. 6 and 6.
At the shot clock. There you go, Carm. 6 in 60. And I apologize. I did forget about that. I was hyping up the best bets a little bit prematurely. But yeah, I love that segment because you're giving out a little bit of info on all those games, giving out some early picks for Saturday. Obviously, we don't do a Saturday show, so great stuff there from Carm. I'll give you a breather, Carm, and I'll start off with my best bet. Here, I'm going to go with the New York Rangers and the Buffalo Sabres over the total of 6. This Rangers team is scoring, and they're off a game I'm sure they aren't too excited about. That game against the Colorado Avalanche, where they had a good first period. Second period wasn't great. Third period just really slipped away from them. And I think that their offense is going to get back together, but I'm not sure how much I trust their defense. And the Buffalo Sabres, well, you can just never trust this team's defense. And right now, they're continuing to give up goals. But they're a team that I like to mention this kind of stuff. They play a full 60. They will not give up no matter how much they're down. They'll continue to try and fight and score until the final buzzer. So Rangers and Sabres over 6 for me tonight, guys. We got CFL action this weekend, UFC action this weekend, NFL prop packages this weekend. Looking forward to a great and hopefully profitable one as well over at WagerTalk.com. Carm, again, I apologize for almost skipping that segment. Let's go to you with the best bet, man.
Don't worry, Andrew. It's all good. Best bet is a game we talked about earlier, the Flyers and the Vegas Golden Knights. Listen, 10 straight losses for the Flyers. 8 of those games they've lost by multiple goals. And you got Vegas playing extremely well. As long as they don't look past this game, should be a multiple goal win by the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm going to lay -1.5 plus 105 with this Golden Knights team to beat the Flyers. The best thing the Flyers could do after this game is hit Spearmint, Rhino, and then head over to Arizona. But for tonight, it's the Vegas Golden Knights -1.5 plus money. That's my show best bet.
All right, that'll do it for puck time for this week. Power play recap: Rangers Buffalo over 6 for me and Carmine with Vegas -1.5. Goals plus 105. Carm, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, man. Looking forward to a great weekend in Ontario. Guys, I'll be away next week, but I'm sure and I know the show is in great hands and a lot more guests to come on the show next week. So on behalf of Carmine Bianco, I'm Andrew McInnis. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, college football bowl season, baby. And there are 42 bowl and playoff games to keep us entertained for almost 3.5 weeks. Starting with Toledo versus Middle Tennessee State and going through the national championship on Monday, January 10th, pick your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper and get every college football bowl game day release, including any 5% best bets normally priced at $35 for the low price of $149. As an added bonus, make sure to download the free WagerTalk College Football Bowl Guide by going to wt.buzz/rm. From everyone at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, good luck this college football bowl season.